Okay, thank you very much. Commissioner Wright, I'm going to call this meeting to order. This meeting of the Millard County Commission is held August 15, 2023 in the Commission chambers. So we'd like to welcome y'all here. Don't have a lot of members of the public in here, but hopefully I think some of you are maybe listening, and we'd like to welcome you to our meeting. First of all, we'd like to start our meeting by asking Jacob Nelson if he will come and give us a word of prayer, and then afterwards I will lead if you'd follow me in the pledge. Go ahead, Jacob, shut the door.
Our Father in heaven, we bow our heads before the Owners Commission meeting, grateful for the opportunity to be engaged in the service of the county. We appreciate the freedoms of the constitutions under which we are held accountable to. We are grateful for the service of all those who have given their time and their energy. We pray for wisdom, we pray for guidance as we try to direct the affairs of the county, to do it in a manner that is appropriate and transparent and right. We appreciate all the citizens of the county for their efforts in making this a good place to live. We pray for the leaders of our nations, those who are responsible for the legislative responsibilities, for the executive and judicial responsibilities. We pray that they will be led and guided by wisdom, that they will be directed as to those things that will better the humanity and the people who live here and work here, that their decisions will be directed in good conscience, and they'll be able to provide their responsibilities, and their efforts will be directed for good. We are grateful once again for those who have served us, those who serve us in the military. We pray for their families, those who have lost loved ones. Pray that God will bless them and protect them and watch over them. We pray for those who are actively out defending our freedom, our public safety as well, that God will bless them and their families with protection as they are out. We are so grateful for it, and we say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Jacob. Please stand and follow me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag for the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the minutes. We have the minutes of our last scheduled meeting. Any additions or deletions or any comments? Vicki, Trevor?
I don't have anything.
Any of the clerks? Okay, if not, I need a motion.
Okay, I make a motion, we approve the minutes from August 1st.
I second that motion.
A motion and a second to approve the minutes of August 1st. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Is there any follow-up actions as you reviewed the minutes? So we need to discuss for sure. Vicki, you have any, or nobody, Trevor? No follow-ups
No,
from
nothing
clerk
for
or
follow-up.
anybody else? Okay. Seeing no follow-ups, we'll move on to discussion of possible approval of appointment to the Ag Park Board. The Ag Park Board has been in place for some time. I think maybe all of you do know what the Ag Park Board was. The Ag Park now is set up, and they got it's structured so they will have a board that governs that Ag Park Board, which is made up of I think 5 or 6 commissioners and one from every county from the 6 counties, and then I think a couple people on the state level. They need us to assign one of our commissioners to do that. We've kind of discussed it with 6th County and that. Trevor has said he would be interested in taking that assignment. My suggestion was if we do that, then we would change, so you're aware of this, Marquis, we would change a couple of our other assignments maybe to accommodate that. So I'll make a motion that, I'll step from the chair and make a motion that Trevor Johnson be assigned our commissioner on the Ag Park Board, and that I currently now serve on 6 County, and Trevor currently serves on what? Mental health, what's it called?
6 County Mental Health. But would you be fine if I just stayed on that for a little longer, see how I can handle that as well?
Yeah, that's fine with me. You said you wanted to change.
I did, but now I had a change of heart after I talked to Commissioner Bartholomew, so.
We're open for discussion, so we won't, right now then, currently, if it's agreeable, we won't make a change to our assignments, but basically we'll assign, we will make a change, we'll assign Trevor. I would move that we assign Trevor to be on the 6th County, and to be on the Ag Park, and we also, I would step off the 6th County Board, because I think that's consistent with the Ag Park Board, and Trevor would also take that assignment, so that's my motion. No, we'll leave him on mental health. He says he wants to stay on mental health.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
okay. So that's my motion. I need a second.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a second. So for discussion, maybe have some comments. Trevor, you got some discussion, and Vicki?
No, I have no discussion.
At the end of the year, I think we ought to go through and kind of redo our assignments.
Generally, at the first of every year, we do that. That'll give us another few months, and you can look and see which ones fit or don't fit, which ones are useful, and who would best be able to take the assignment. Because normally every year well, you don't have to redo them, but we start new every year, and we can keep the same assignments, but that's when we would redo too. This is kind of a mid-year change right now with this new assignment.
And Bill did mention that he was more than happy to take on the 6 County Mental Health, but that is one that is very conducive to my schedule anyways, so it shouldn't affect.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll call for a vote. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. Okay, we'll make those changes, Markey, if you would, on our monthly financial review. Bonnie, do you have anything, or what? Okay.
So normally, the treasurer has the report that has all the items that were submitted to you as a board, and you sign off on that. I think she's still coming, but I can just kind of go over everything. I emailed every report to you from the auditor's side a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you have any specific questions on that. It included where we were in the budget. The couple of things that I did point out, one specifically is aging. It looks like we will have to amend that due to meal delivery being
Which one's that?
6 County senior centers with the meal delivery.
I don't think we get any figures yet, do we?
Well, it's.
I know they're billing us, but
No, yeah, they've already billed us. It's over by about 12,000. The whole department's not over, so we're within, legal parameters of the budget.
I think we're going to
but
work on restructuring that, Trevor. That's something you'll be involved in, restructuring. The percentages, each of us take a certain percentage of the total. They've lost some federal funds or something. That responsibility and cost, well, because the cost of inflation, everything has gone up significantly to maintain that program, and so we can anticipate some time, at least for next year, upping it farther than what this, but so we'll have to open the budget to do that at some time, or you still got enough in there?
I mean, we still have 18,000 in the department budget, but as other things come in, it's going to be tighter. So it's just a heads up that we're probably going to have to amend that due to the meal delivery program for the senior centers.
Anything else?
Okay. So what makes this month different? It's we have to submit also to you quarterly reports. So those you don't get every month. I don't know if you have any questions on those. One of them's a prior year comparative income statement. It just compares the funds and where we were last year to this year, kind of shows if we're a little higher, lower. But everything looks okay.
About the same? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, questions by any of the commissioners?
I thought it was interesting comparing this year with last year at the same time. Most of them, it seemed like were a little less than what we had spent last year, but some were more.
Yeah.
We haven't, Monty, seen a lot of, we have inflation, but I think our departments have been fairly conservative, and we, right at this point in time, we're not at the end of the year, but we haven't seen a big inflation like you know. We're pretty much on schedule with the spending of what we've had last year. We haven't seen anything that's been thrown in there that's unusual, I guess.
Right. And just to note that we did receive the second tranche for the LATCF funding, so just under 4 million came in, and so we are in receipt of that.
Deb, do you want to come forward? Do you have anything to present us? Any more questions for Bonnie, Commissioner?
Nope.
Okay. We're on the financial report. Do you have anything we need to be made aware of, or?
You know, if you can just sign this that I sent out.
Okay, Bonnie's gone over some stuff, but we're good unless you have something. Anything else, Bonnie?
Nope, I'm good.
Aren't
Okay.
we over in recreation compared to where we were last year? Or I guess I should just say, do we have any money left in recreation?
Well, recreation, we budget almost 2 million each year from the general fund to sustain it. The revenue alone doesn't sustain it. So we're about, that's where we're at. That hasn't changed. As far as revenue, compared to last year where we are now, we're up 8.6%. But expenses, it shows we're down.
Is that a result of raising our fees a little bit, or?
We haven't raised them yet.
We did last year.
Yeah,
Did you?
they did raise golf course,
We raised some of them.
Fees.
We almost raised all of them, but just not,
yeah.
we
But
raised them a little bit.
unfortunately, in expenses is, we're spending 27% more according to this, but there's no budgets that are actually over budget. We've spent another 276,000 over what we did last year at the same point.
Yeah, that's the one I kind of noticed the most.
Yeah.
I know that Brooks would like to make some pickleball courts and resurface the outdoor basketball court so that it can be used for pickleball. And he got some quotes, and it cost $8,000. But there would be, most of the labor would be donated. And so he is just wondering if there's any way we could find, if we can
Find it in,
let that happen.
as of right now, I would suggest, we're going to be starting the budget for 2024 fairly soon, so unless you as a board want to amend the budget, I don't know that there's, anything extra that could be used for that unless you want to amend it and add it as a capital project.
Guess that's
Okay.
something we'll have to discuss sometime.
Yeah, any more questions? Treasurer, you have anything else? Okay, thank you very much. We're going to go on to 10:15. We had an RFP for inmate. Bonnie, you want to stay right there? And maybe the sheriff has a comment. Inmate dental services, apparently, you want to comment where we're at? And what, apparently we didn't get any. I don't know. That's what you're reporting, Bonnie? Okay.
So Lieutenant Bennett and I received notification from the auditor that there were no actual bids received. What communication was received was checked out to be purely questions about the process. So that doesn't put us anywhere different than where we are. So if it's appropriate, we would recycle the request for bids. And answer questions as we discover those, if appropriate and allowable. Those are my thoughts.
So who has a contract now?
We don't have a
We
contract.
don't have a contract. We've never had one. How have you did it in the past?
Well, that it changed. We're now in a situation where we don't have that service contracted.
You know, that, whatever we did in the past is done. We used to, but just don't have one right now.
Correct.
Okay. Is those that provided that past service interested or not? Okay.
Apparently not. They left
Okay,
us.
that's the question. That's the guy, you're out of a contract now, but, so,
Yeah, so we're without contracted service, which may remain to be the case. We'll see what we get, but I think,
so are we getting the right people, or we need to approach it a little different, or what, I mean, of course, we're asking for an RFP, so we're not asking for a bid, really, so but we didn't get any interest in doing it for any price.
correct. So, Commissioner, I don't know what options there is except for another flush of the birds to see what we can get. You're probably curious what we do now, and that is to kind of just pick what's available out there to get our coverage. So
Yeah,
I think it's probably prudent that we try again,
okay.
see what happens.
So if they're in there for over 6 months, do they have like their 6-month checkup and things like that? Or is it just like when they start having problems with their teeth, then they get it taken care of?
They're generally only seen upon request when they're having problems with their teeth. We don't schedule appointments or anything like that. But as it stands right now, we're a little low on dentists, so we don't have anyone coming in at the moment.
When
So
they
they
go-
have to come to the jail?
They do. They do. We have dental equipment in the jail, x-ray machine, dental chair, that sort of equipment, so the dentist can come in, and that way we can maintain the secure facility that we're running.
That's good.
So the exception to that, obviously, if there's a procedure, whether it be an oral procedure or a medical procedure that cannot be performed in the jail, then that requires a special arrangement and clearance, and we deal with that on a
You
case-by-case.
just have to have a deputy take them to an office.
Yeah,
or
they're under
something.
escort.
But the majority of it can be done in the jail.
Yes, the vast majority of the dental
Can
work,
they-
if not all of the dental work, I think's been
Can
done.
they remove wisdom teeth?
That I don't recall of ever having.
No, the service we provide is more of an emergent type service.
Yeah.
Essentially, if they get a big nasty cavity, the dentist usually just pulls the tooth. We don't offer fillings or anything like that. The cost is massive. So really all we do is remove teeth and things like that.
Okay, I guess what we can say is try again.
I think that's the approach.
Then if not, what's our options if that don't work?
We'll be scratching our heads
Okay.
between now and then.
Maybe someone could, I don't know, contact some local dentists and just encourage them, say we need a little help in here if you guys would, maybe a personal contact or something, I don't know. There's several dentists in the area, but apparently they're busy or not interested.
Now, be careful here.
Okay.
So think about, in fairness, think about what we're asking someone to do.
Yeah,
Going into the jail is not high on a lot of people's lists.
yeah.
It takes that special determination and ability and spirit to do that.
Don't fit everybody.
It doesn't suit everyone by any means. And the rules by which they have to conduct business that we have to apply for safety reasons are not always in harmony with those that want to come in. So that makes the experience a little more overwhelming sometimes.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
Nope, thank you.
Thank you. Try again. Okay, next item, discussion and possible approval of amending the county personnel use policy. Pat's going to take some time on this. He has recently drafted and gone through a county personal use policy that's been, we've had one before, but it's had to be upgraded. State statute has changed, the state has changed some laws, and I think Pat will explain, most of it has come through our insurance, and we have to have our policies with consistent of what they requested to provide insurance and a variety of other stuff. So Pat, go ahead and explain it. It's here, we'll give to the supervisors. We won't take any action on it today except to just discuss it. They'll give us time to look at it, time for any of the public or any of the county employees to maybe take a look at it and make comments. So go ahead, Pat.
Yeah, it's a policy, so it has internal application. It's not an ordinance. It's not something that would be disseminated for public comment, but certainly it would be appropriate for, obviously, the electeds to comment, also for heads of departments that are not elected, maybe offer comment as well. But just briefly, we haven't had one until about 2 years ago. The legislature amended the personal use law, making it a felony for any employee to make unauthorized use of public property. They did allow for counties and other public entities to adopt policies that would specify what uses are and are not allowed. But it was a fairly aggressive statute, and it kind of, I think, caught a lot of people off guard. So we quickly adopted an ordinance that we thought was compliant, that we thought covered our bases. And we've had a few reports of people perhaps taking advantage of it and maybe interpreting it more broadly than was intended. But again, as you said, the real impetus for our amending our policy and formalizing it a little bit more was our insurance, our crime coverage, which is, that's in place of, we used to, every county officer used to have a bond in place to secure his or her performance against criminal behavior and those types of things. Now we just buy a group policy for crime coverage. Our crime provider was suggesting strongly, and it wasn't just us, I think it was almost all of the smaller counties that had adopted personal use ordinance or policies, was insufficient and that it would jeopardize coverage. So I've been kind of in a dialogue with Johnny and Corby, and I think they've been discussing on our behalf, but also on the behalf of a lot of the other counties with the actual underwriters. But I think this is what I emailed it to all of the electeds and to the two department heads with general executive delegation, Jacob and Adam. But there is one thing that Johnny reminded me last night that I forgot to put in here, and it's state law requires that personal use of public property must be by an employee that uses that property in the course of his or her employment. So I couldn't go borrow one of Brandon's track hose. And I couldn't do that anyway, but it's got to be something that I use. If I'm gonna allow one of my people to use a computer to check their personal email, it's got to be something that they use in the course of their regular employment. So, and I think that's a liability issue too, but that's the only thing that I failed to get into this thing, but
So that will be an amendment when we,
it'll be a change to the end. But other than that, it's discussion. If anybody has any suggestions or comments or anything else that this might, in any areas that it falls short in, either we can talk about it now or just let me know and we'll make sure that it's ready to go with the resolution. I apologize for that. I didn't even look close enough at the agenda to realize that it wasn't on for a resolution.
no, we're good. I don't think there's nothing pending. It's got to be done right now anyway. So, to the commissioners, any comments?
Nope.
No, I think it'll be good, and I hope that the department heads and elected people will make sure that the people that work under them know what it says.
Would it be probably, as Pat said, you've sent it out to the elected officials and Adam and Jacob, but would it be all right to send this to all our supervisors?
So we'll have to, absolutely, and to all the
Yeah,
employees,
before it
everybody will have to
gets-
know what the
okay.
policy is.
All right, so I would suggest, Marquis, if you can send this to all the.
Oh, not yet. Don't
No,
send it
we
to
gotta do the
everyone.
resolution.
All right,
Wait till we
yeah.
get it.
We need to
once
get
we
it up,
have
okay,
The final product.
okay.
This means obviously that the three of you are gonna be overseeing any personal use policies within all of the departments. Whichever departments you have supervision over, those, that will come from you.
Would you suggest that we have each one of them read it and sign a paper that they've read it?
That's what I wanted to comment on, because we have not sent out the ethical statement this year. Normally, we do it when it best fits our cycle, but I was shorthanded at the time. I've just been holding off, so we can do that at the same time. With the fraud risk assessment, we're supposed to do that anyway, so we can address it at that time, and they can sign a general ethical statement if that works.
Yeah, I mean, just include it in the ethical statement thing, and then, so I probably also need to work something in there, because within the SO, there's what they call 1041 alpha, which is legitimate, and it's something that they need to maintain, and we don't want to go into a ton of detail what that means here in commission meeting, but when they all came in, it occurred to me that we probably need to draw a little bit of a distinction between some of the things they do, and it's primarily involves their vehicles, but.
Jacob, you're in the audience. Would you just make a note, when we get this completed, we need to put this at our next supervisor meeting. We should have some training and some discussion with supervisors on our personal use property, or procedures when we get it adopted. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, thank you. If not, we'll just go ahead and proceed on that, Pat, and get prepared what we need to do on it. Discussion and possible approval of IGP waivers. Trevor?
We've got 3 for flag football and 4 for soccer. Total's $320.
Okay,
So,
discussion. Any questions, or?
nope, I make a motion we approve the IGP waivers.
Motion to approve the IGP waivers.
I'll second the motion.
Second the motion. Any discussion of that? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Have we ever heard what those people actually want us to approve it for yet? Has Angie gotten back?
No, we haven't had a meeting yet
Okay.
to discuss that.
Ready to go on?
Yeah.
Okay, discussion and possible approve resolution 23-8-15, resolution of the Board of County Commissioners of Millard County approving the filing of cross appeals to the 2023 appeals filed by taxpayers subject to centrally assessed. Pat, you want to, what do we need on this?
Well, this is, every year we get these, so far this is the only one. When a centrally assessed taxpayer files an appeal, we then, as the government entity, have the option of filing a cross appeal, but in order to do that, it has to be authorized specifically by resolution. So every year as appeals come in, these resolutions will be in front of you to authorize cross appeals. And I think we have 30 days after we are notified that the appeal's been filed in order to authorize and file a cross appeal. So these are pretty standard. Every year we authorize by resolution the county to pursue cross appeals. We don't have the option of filing a primary appeal in a centrally assessed taxation issue. If we don't like the value that the property tax division assesses, we can't do anything about it unless the property tax owner also doesn't like it and they appeal. Then we can cross appeal. And really the purpose of a cross appeal is just to maintain our standing in the litigation before the tax commission and potentially in front of the court. If we don't file a cross appeal, then it's just the taxpayer versus the tax commission. And we don't have a voice. So we authorize and file cross appeals so that we can have a voice in those appellate proceedings.
And this is each one of these separately we have to do. This is for
Yeah,
Gray,
normally
this is for
normally-
Graymount, right?
Yeah, this is just Graymount
Yep.
today. Normally, we'll authorize appeals in 2 or 3 at a time. Like
Yeah.
the treasurer's office will receive notification that 3 or 4 have filed appeals. So far, this is the first appeal this year. So this is just one entity that we're authorizing, and I'm sure there will be more.
IPA isn't going to appeal this year.
Well, IPA is only one. In the last 3 or 4 years, we've probably authorized 10 a year, 8 or 10 a year. So there'll
When's
be
the
more.
date? Laura, when's the date for appeals and?
Well, no, centrally assessed is different. I believe it's in August.
I thought it was pretty soon. right?
Yeah, it's coming up. So, I mean, this could be,
So it hasn't arrived yet, it's coming, but it will be pretty soon, so.
I think it's the end of August. I'll be surprised if we don't get a flurry, though, coming in at the end, because most of the centrally assessed appeals that we get, we are a tiny
We are
player.
not, yeah,
We have almost no.
There's only a few of them, we have a big portion of
Pacific
others.
Core, the railroad, some of those, I mean, we file a cross appeal just so we can have a voice, but we settle them because they don't affect us. I mean,
Very low.
the impact on Millard County is minuscule.
Yeah.
But a few of them, Graymont, obviously, IPA, there's a few that really do impact us pretty heavily.
Do almost all centrally assessed appeal every year?
Well, they didn't until probably 5 or 6 years ago. Now they do.
No, they do.
Now routinely.
We change their habits, since they can get a pretty good refund, why they thought this is a good way to
I
make the
think-
business
I
profitable.
think until, I mean, I'd say probably in the last 8 or 10 years, but before that, only IPA ever appealed. Bonnie, is that? I think before probably 8 or 9 years ago, we really ever only dealt with IPA appeals.
Yeah.
But now, yeah, all of them do. So I'm pretty confident we'll have more appeals before the deadline.
This may be the last one. We're just Google it. It says August 1st.
So maybe we only got one?
I know it's August.
I was thinking,
I was thinking the
sometime someone
deadline
told me
was
the
passed.
1st or 15th or something.
It's August 1st or 90 days after the date that the commission mails the notice, whichever comes later.
So on the notice that we send out, it's August 1st.
But this is the property tax division sending these notices, so.
Correct. But we still, they get a second notice from us. From the county.
So 90 days.
So they got 90 days after they get their notice? When did their notice go then?
Well, from the county, it went out July 22nd.
Is that the state notice or
No,
no?
that was not the state.
So they got July, August, September, October then?
Yeah, they usually send it out in May.
We,
The 90 days isn't off ours, it's off the state one, right? Is that what you're telling me?
That's what it says.
Okay.
Okay,
So
so
it
it's,
would be May.
go ahead, Pat.
we normally get these throughout the months of July and August is when we approve, when we authorize cross appeals.
And if it's postmarked before the date, then, yeah.
Okay, I need a motion to accept the resolution.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 23-08-15.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion to that? You've heard some discussion. Okay, we need a voice vote. Marquis?
Call for a roll call vote on resolution 23-08-15 as discussed. Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you. Next item of business, discussion of possible approval of property improvement, Shane Church. Welcome, Shane.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just going to talk a little bit.
Thank you.
Specifically, what I'm asking about today is 2500 east off Highway 50, heading south along the property that we've acquired and we're interested in building our building on.
Okay,
The total, excuse me, the total 80-acre parcel there that we're trying to get annexed by Delta City, the one requirement that they've expressed that does involve the county is they would like that road double chip sealed before they assume control of the road from a maintenance perspective. I spoke with Brandon. I know they're about to start doing mag chloride on different roads, and this is about a 2-year process to get a double chip seal done. So the main purpose is to try to work something out with you guys to get at least that first half mile mag chlorided right now while he's doing it, and then secondary discussion on getting that road chip sealed and prepared to turn over to Delta City.
Questions? I guess what? Help me figure out the logic why we would make all the improvements and give it to the city. Am I seeing this right? That's just a logical question.
Correct.
And the city will not participate at all. I mean, I think we could help, but I can't see the logic of us doing property improvements and then annexing it into the city. I
do understand what you're saying. It's kind of
Sorry for the blunt question.
No, it's okay. I'm kind of in an awkward position. I would like the city annexation because it helps with, they're requiring the water line as well.
So what are you doing on the water line then?
So on the water line, and there's another front here too, because I did speak with Roger Kilpack about grant money through the $200,000 that the county gets from the state for economic development purposes. He's going to present this to the board tomorrow.
Yeah, they have a committee,
Yes.
committee. Yeah.
So he's going to present that tomorrow, and if it's a positive, and he believed in it, he sounds like he's pretty much on board with the idea, but he wants to get the general consensus. If everybody is generally accepting of the idea, what I would ask for is that the county, through that grant money, helps us get the water pipe paid for. Delta City is willing to contribute the labor to putting the pipe in the ground. So this isn't the whole scope of this project is not they're doing nothing. They're willing to put in what they can according to them.
You know, Delta City has options for grants to improve their infrastructure.
Correct, but that's not available until October.
We don't.
From what
Well,
the
you
state
can
told
shift
me.
some money, but we don't really deal in infrastructures and services like that. So as a county, basically, we have no grants or nothing to help us with that. The cities do. Municipalities have a lot more ability to get municipal improvements than the county does, because our county we don't have any municipal facilities or improvements. So that's what I'm saying. I think they have a lot more ability than we do to do something like that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and they do what I'm going for with them. There is grant money from the state that will come available, but they can't apply for it, from what I'm understanding after speaking with Forrest, who is, I believe, our area representative for the Economic Development Office. The city money cannot be applied for until in the October timeframe. They have
a time frame. About once a year they do the grant, so you just can't jump in between. They appropriate it
Correct.
once a year. So it's not like you can apply right now and get it.
Right.
Somebody's gonna have to do some planning,
And
that's correct. They can't, they only do them, the application date once a year, and they submit them once a year. But a water project becomes a high priority like that. So the chances are probably fairly well, other than recreation or other things, or some cities apply for recreation or capital facilities or something, but the water projects generally move to the head of all things. So, and they know how to do that. They have the ability, but go ahead, that's just another.
Yeah, Shane needs to try and get this done as soon as
Yeah.
possible.
I'm just trying to get some tentative agreements established. I know we can't actually get the road double chip sealed for a period of time, no matter what we do. Getting some agreements in place, coming up with how this is going to play out would give the city the ability to make some tentative agreements with me and with the county, allowing us to kind of bridge the gap and allow permits. So instead of anyone applying for permits in this area, because it would be proposed to be annexed, would be able to then go through Delta City to get the permits issued and go forward with the project based on everything coming under city control. So and all I'm trying to do is just find a way to bridge some of the gaps. The one thing that they're kind of sticking on is with the road. They don't want to assume any more roads that are not improved, which I do understand. And we're not to the point where we can't figure out how to help contribute to that road or to the water line ourselves. And my viewpoint on asking is we will never own the water line or that road at any point. And those roads have been there for a long time.
Dell was going to own them.
Yes.
They're the ones that's going to tax them and get all the benefit from them, so that's
Yes.
the bottom line. They're, the only one that's going to get benefit from that water line is Delta City, because they're going to charge you a fee to get the water there.
Correct. And so we're just asking, I know there is grant money that the county can apply for. And like I say, I will present that to that board, and if they do agree with it, then that will come back around to you guys, whatever money they're willing to contribute. And ultimately, if not, what would happen is I will likely build this into a contract with myself and the other landowners, and then we would figure out how to pay the county to get this road completed to the city standard, and then work with the city on the water line as well. But what I'm asking for
So you're open
immediately-
to some reimbursement to the county and?
Not even necessarily. Right now, because all that really matters is that we can get an agreement in place that the road will become chip sealed, and who and how that gets paid for doesn't necessarily have to be established. What I do need sooner than later is permission from you guys to allow Brandon to do the mag chloride, whether I have to pay for that or the county just does it.
Yeah.
On
I
at least
talked-
that first 2,600 feet.
Yeah, I talked to Brandon, and he likes to put mag chloride on a road for 2 years before they try to chip seal it. And
Yeah, the mag, they don't do a good chip seal on a road that's not magged, there's no
Yeah.
question about
Right.
that.
And so it'd still be 2 years before
But
they
it
could chip
comes
seal
back,
it.
why, I have a hard time seeing why all that responsibility falls on us. Now we're assuming we'll get more traffic, but roads we chip seal, we chip seal and do those roads as priority that have traffic on it. And that's why that hasn't been magged and done before, because there's just nobody there. Now, obviously, this will bring more traffic in, so.
Correct.
It's kind of like the cart before the horse.
And it's
If
a
you was
lot,
there and the road was the way it is, and it was county road,
and it's a
we would probably- We
lockstep.
would probably mag it.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a weird, everybody's kind of stuck in this one position right now. We can't, growth and development cannot happen here without water. Drilling a well and trying to sustain future growth of businesses through well applications are going to be pretty ridiculous, but that's where the
Have
city,
you got the water to do the well, to drill a well?
I do, but it wouldn't, individual wells will not sustain what needs to be there. We need city infrastructure for this development to go forward. And it's not mine only, the future growth of people who haven't even thought about it. It won't happen if there's not city water, not
Do
city
you have
development.
any kind of projections of what the water line would cost?
I
What the
do.
city's asking you to do and all that?
I do.
Can we get them at some, do you have them now, or?
Yes, I've actually got quotes for the 2,600 feet, a 12-inch C900 is about 123,000.
They have 12-inch is what?
That's what they would like for the development. So what would be required
Take
for
care of
me
a lot of,
is 8-inch. What's needed for future development would be a 12-inch. Obviously, everything on our property would have to be paid for by us, but that's where I'm coming at this from, trying to get government involvement, because we're only interested in getting help with everything that's not physically on our property.
Okay. Adam, do you have any, you're a county planner. Do you have any comments? We've dealt with this a little before, because about a year ago, we met with the city, and when we was changing the zoning on that there, and the city had a great idea. They says, if you're gonna change the zoning, we want you guys to make sure that whoever does it does all the curb and gutter and everything. And we says, no, why would we do that? And so that's where this is all started from. And they're kind of doing an end run. You're caught in the middle.
I
But
am.
they're doing an end run on what they wanted a year ago, that we told them we wouldn't. We told them a year ago we wouldn't do it.
They
That
have
we wouldn't
waived.
make you. That's up between you and them. And now they're doing an end run and
Well, they've
squeezing you in the
waived-
middle.
They waived their requirements, and they're willing to put that in black and white. They will waive their requirements for curb and gutter. All roads developed within our subdivision or within what will be future subdivisions will end up having to be full-width roads, and at bare minimum, they will all have to be chip sealed before they're turned into public access.
Okay.
But their requirement for me to even go forward is to have that first half mile of 2500 East, along with the water line, those two agreements have to be somewhat black and white on how that's going to happen. When is up for debate, and I don't think there's a time requirement from the city. They've not asked for one. However, it is a matter of I just have to have a plan in place where everybody's going to
Yeah.
get along with each other.
Well, I wouldn't say it's never happened, but I would say for me personally, if we could find some way where everybody contributed, we'll be glad to help in the ways we can in the county. We don't have a lot of resources, but in this county right now, all counties aren't that way. We haven't participated in municipal services. We put some guardrails on there. And the problem is when we drive through that fence, you're not the only
Yeah.
developer that would like municipal services. And this is the question, do we want, I love what you're doing. When do we cross the line? Do we have enough money to cross the line? And should we cross the line? Because I can promise you there's going to be 20 other landowners in the next 10 years is going to want the same kind of, and the question we have to ask, are we going to be able to do it? Are we going to be the provider of municipal services, whether they access them or not, whether the city takes them or not? And that's the question for me.
Correct.
It isn't about the help, it's do we cross the line, do we get out of bounds here and become a provider of municipal services? And I guess we should ask all the taxpayers who live in the county, do you want to be a provider of municipal services? That's who actually pays the bill. So,
Right.
and we lose our ability to return that when the county, when the city annexes it, we lose some of our ability. Of course, we get property, but we lose some of our ability. They're going to charge for the water and everything. We lose our ability to return that money. So basically, it goes to someone living out in Timbuktu. And that's the problem. How happy are you going to be paying for this? But anyway, you understand that.
I do.
You understand completely.
I want to hear what Adam has to say real quick.
So maybe just kind of big picture, a couple things. So the county doesn't usually participate in the annexation process. When somebody wants to join a municipality, town, city, they apply, they ask to be annexed. So they petition for that. And similar to the county, when the project comes in this case would be a piece of property coming into a community, it's negotiated. What standards are going to be developed, whether it's infrastructure or whether they need to bring water, whatever it might be. So there's kind of they set the expectation. Yes, you can come and be part of this body politic, but you need to bring something to the table, probably all your own improvements. In this case, the road, that first half mile, the city would be annexing not just the property, but they would be also annexing the road, which he does not own. And they want to have it double chip sealed, and the onus is on him to figure that out and to pay for it. But the preliminary item is just getting that mag chlorided. Just anything that happens later to get that double chip seal in place is going to need to have that mag chloride applied first. And so I think what he's asking is just, can he, even if he pays for the cost, will the road department apply that? They normally apply it to the roads anyways. That's that's a county road. But can he get the county to go ahead and mag chloride their road at his expense, just to get that process moving forward? The cost of the actual chip seal is to be determined. The city could pay for it, the county could pay for it, the applicant could pay for it, anyone can pay for it, but whoever's gonna have that done just needs to have the mag chloride applied sooner rather than later, because it takes time to get that road prepped. And I think the annexation is held up. Most of the time, it's nice to get the annexation, all the improvements done at the time of annexation. In this case, it's gonna take a while to get those improvements put in, but they wanna move forward with the annexation, and this is kind of just holding up. They're figuring out, how do we get this road? And as soon as we know how we're gonna get the road, they can move forward with the annexation. I think that's
correct.
So-
So where the county owns the road, that's regardless of whether you make me pay for whatever needs to happen, you guys have to give the permission for that to go forward.
Yeah, it's a county road.
And so that's kind of what I'm basically asking, because Brandon is about to start the mag chloride, so he can
Yeah.
do it as part of his process. But as far as the rest of it goes, I'm definitely open to your guys' interpretation and what I can present back to Delta City. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if it has to be paid for through private sources, then that's where it will go, but
But you still need the county to apply
correct.
whatever needs to be put on the road.
And I think one thing that's getting lost in this conversation is, yeah, we're not making money on the water.
No.
No,
But
and I'm
we
not
get-
asking.
No, and I know, let me finish. But we get the value of the property tax of all the new businesses that come in. That is, and granted, this whole section is my dad's, so I do have a conflict of interest in that. But when you say we have no value in it, our value is in the businesses that come and the property tax we earn. Yeah, we don't make money on the water. We don't want to make money on the water because we don't want to get into the municipality type stuff. But there is value in creating and working with the city and current business owners to bring in higher valued properties that we in turn gain the taxes on. So yes, I do believe there's value. So when you say there's no value in it for us, I think there's, as a county, there's a lot of value in working with the city and these businesses in accomplishing this. Because I know Shane and there's already several other businesses working on coming in.
One that was going to come in and put up a $10 million building backed out because it was just taking too long, which is sad, because we could have collected a lot of taxes.
And a lot of it has to go with the water. So if we can work with the city to provide this,
Well, and I think we have the water figured out.
Yeah.
I'm not too scared of that. Even from a standpoint of, I've got a couple other outside, not currently landholders, investors that are willing to come into this project and help get this going. And the only real struggle that I have right this moment is just basically getting permission to get this road on track for annexation, and figuring out what that cost is.
so doing this with the road, the sole purpose of doing this with the road is for annexation, not bringing in the water, but they won't bring the water in unless they can
They will
annex
not
in.
let me have annexation without you guys giving me.
So you don't have the water solved unless,
Right. Unless this gets solved.
so really you don't have the water solved.
And that's why I say, if, I spoke with Brandon, we're not talking, I don't know what the total cost of this is. The oil is the most expensive part of doing a
Yeah,
road.
the mag's not in
Right.
relationship to everything's not a really big deal.
Yeah, this is a pretty small cost, I think.
Adam?
I know we've entered in the road maintenance agreements or the road agreements, that have covered some of this type of thing in the past. I don't know if it's possible to take that approach and to have specific proposals and agreements made maybe in a future time.
So, Bill,
Yes.
does the county get an economic development grant every year?
No,
They have to apply for it, from what I
we
understand.
don't get it every year. We, 2 years ago, the legislature wanted to spur economic development. They give each county, well, I don't know each, they give us 200,000. That's put in our economic development fund. Out of that 200,000, it is not every year. We formed, one of the things we had to do by state statute is form an economic development committee.
Correct.
So it's Roger and Mita. They've been operating about 2 years, and we're trying to do some scholarships, and that was some of that. But we also contract to Stewart and them for economic development, so that money's come out of there. So there's only like half left of the 200,000, or the 200,000. So there is some money in there, yeah. Depends on what their priority is and what we want to do. But it isn't ongoing money. It's one-time money that we could spend one time that's in our economic development fund.
Well, I think it'd be nice if we applied every year to get some of that, and if we get it, to go on the outskirts around Delta, Fillmore, whatever, and actually start improving the roads so that if industry wants to come in and
Bonnie, I don't think it's a reapplication. I just think they give us, and we have to do a report that the economic development money is there future. They probably got some other programs, but I don't think that initial was only one time. There isn't future applications for grants, is there, that I have understood anyway?
According to Forrest from the state's office,
Yeah, okay.
that money is available to apply for again now, 200,000 more.
Okay, I
And-
wasn't aware of that. Bonnie, do you know it all? But Forrest can help us. Forrest has helped us some other issues. I know Forrest.
Yeah,
And
I know when I was down to St. George to that Western States NACO conference, that there was a lady down there talking to me that works up at the state, and she told me that there's actually a lot of grants available for rural areas. If we talk to her, she can.
And Forrest is in the governor's office now, and he's been helpful to us in the past.
he's located in the Richfield office, but he is part of the, yes.
Yeah, he's in the governor, he moved from Richfield, or at least he's in the governor's office now over rural Utah and economic development and stuff like that. So we could pursue continuing to kind of help that fund, yes.
Okay, and that was what I was, and I know that's going to take time. There's a lot of time involved in that. However, and where that came from is I actually reached out to the state's offices months ago. They directed me to that same grant, and it is available. I spoke with him the other day, and in speaking with Kilpack. Roger. He said he was aware of it. They hadn't applied for it yet this year.
Maybe Roger knows that. He needs all.
He didn't know about
bring that
it.
His attention.
But he said that there's something to do, so there's something to do with if they don't spend what you guys have had. I'm not 100% sure about this, but I think if it's not been spent from previous years, the state's not necessarily willing to give you more of it.
I know there's some reporting, and so they will evaluate on the reporting, measure what's done with it and stuff like that, and I don't know how that will affect. It could affect positively or negative. What you're
Correct.
saying could exactly be true.
Yeah.
Could affect positively or negatively.
I think we ought to get it
So we
spent.
need to look into that, see what.
So, and like I say, I know that stuff's gonna take time, but the state also pointed me towards, there's money from that same group of money, and I would have to get Forrest involved, but the county and the city can apply in October.
Have you
for
met with
6
Forrest before?
I met with him and his superiors through the state, yes.
Okay.
And they have said that there is more grant money specifically available for county and city in the tune of around 600,000 for economic development later this year.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what those opportunities are, but
We will follow through and look into that, And I think that, let me set with how many, how much of the road do they need to do to accommodate what you're doing?
Half a mile.
Half a mile?
1/2 mile, down to that very first intersection, which is 500 south on the county map. And I wouldn't go beyond that, because if we bring the city water line in, it's actually gonna have to cut right through that road right there, so it would be pointless to do anything with that.
Our road supervisor's not here, but I will do this. I will get back with him and get you an answer
Okay,
within the next few days.
no problem.
Commission members, is that?
I talked to Brandon, and he said they can take care of it.
Yeah, I'm all for,
He's following up, he has some mag left in his bladders, and usually we only get it in the spring. If we had to order again, we wouldn't do that, but he does have some, and he has some catch-up places that he's trying to put. So I'll talk to him and get back with you.
Okay.
Okay.
That'd be
Do we
fine.
need to come up with an agreement soon, though, so you can present it to Delta City and say, this road will get fixed
Correct. And so
eventually?
what I'm asking for on that front is what are you guys asking me to do in order to get that road long-term mag chip? 'Cause
I-
that's what they've asked for, so as soon as I get what recommendation that you guys have, I'll take that back to the city and say, this is what the county is saying, and go from there.
Okay.
I think we should try to use what money we can from grant money for it. The guys that are buying it might end up having to pay a little bit, but I think that's a great way to use that economic improvement grant.
And I would be willing, and I'm pretty sure the landowners, I can't speak for everybody without getting everybody in the same room, but I'm pretty sure if we entered into an agreement that says, okay, if grant money cannot pay for this, ultimately the landowners will pay the bill in the end. As you guys do the work, it gets applied. We then have to pick up the bill through however the county does that, liens or whatever legal recourse. But I think an agreement like that can be made, but once we have that agreement in place, that can be presented to Delta City and allow us to move forward.
Well, my goal that we get all the options on the table. We don't want to impede the project at all. But we just need to get all the options so that we make sure that we choose the most correct option.
Correct.
That's going to be, in the future, the best interest of everybody. That's
well, so if we made an agreement saying the county will do the work,
We would just need you guys to tell how much, and then ultimately, if, it's gonna take 2 years, so the county's not gonna output any money for the oil or the chips or the labor for at least another 1.5 years. If we get mag chloride on it this year, and it doesn't even matter, if it can't happen this year, it doesn't matter, it's just it will speed it up if we get it on it right now. But if it doesn't happen until next year, it's not gonna stop the city. It's just the agreement needs to be in place, but I'm just suggesting if we have the ability to do it now, let's just do it. But on the mag chloride,
the easiest thing for us to do, and without messing with our budgets much, because we have budget for this year, and we're probably going to do this on some other Class D roads where they're putting pipe in as the county. The easiest thing for us to do is the work. I mean, we can help. We got equipment, manpower, we have to pay for it. We have to pay for all that. The most difficult thing for us to do is buy tar, buy extra mag, that. Then you got a budget. We move it from, can you work this in, to a budget problem. I mean,
Right.
we can go to Brandon and in his budget, I'm assuming we can work this in without having to do nothing. We get expanding out of these rails, then we have a budget problem. If you can see the difference.
the mag, I don't. I'm gonna bet it's under $1,500 for that small of a, but I don't really know.
It's not gonna be a lot.
No.
So I'll report back to you.
Okay.
I think I know how our commissioners feel, and we're not gonna throw any rocks at trying to stop anything. We just wanna.
No, and I didn't believe
Make sure
that.
that
I-
everybody, yeah, I understand that. I think you're exactly right. You've seen it right, your school's in the middle. Rather than deal the city negotiating with it, they've stuck you in the middle.
That's where it's happened, and I mean, that, you know,
That's all right. We-
if I don't pursue it, it'll take the long train and never happen, but
Yeah, okay.
I do think there's agreements that can be made, and I think that the state's willing to put money out there. Of course, it has to come from either the city or the county to
Well,
get
the
it.
farm, what you're asking for right now, we don't need an agreement. I mean, we're gonna do some mag, we can, you know, I'm over the roads just, you know, the commission to tell Brandon, we want these roads magged, so I'm gonna ask, make sure, and all of you has talked to him, but just try to get him out in my mind what we're doing.
Okay,
Eventually,
Because we
though,
have other places that want it too, and then we just have to get a priority.
Shane will need a paper or contract, whatever, stating that we will work with putting, or applying the material so it can get improved.
Well, I think we can do the mag without an agreement. I mean, I don't,
Well, Delta City, though,
so they
is going to
won't, so
want
they
an
won't let
agreement.
me move forward with
okay,
the
well, if
annexation.
we, after talking to them, we approve, we can get just a letter that we're gonna,
Okay,
I mean, just to define we're gonna mag the road, that's not a problem, so we'll get that, okay?
okay.
All right. Anything else? Adam? We done? Okay, thank you.
I'm making sure we're clear. You need an agreement for the mag. We can't just go and do the mag.
No,
He's
but
he's
you guys-
need the
if you
mag,
guys-
he's an agreement for their chip and
We will
seal.
have to come back and get a actual agreement before Delta, because Delta City will assume maintenance on the road
Well, they're not gonna
once it's
annex
completed.
issue tomorrow, so if we get the mag done, they can see it's done.
Well, that's not a, no, that's.
That's not what he needs the agreement for. He
They
needs it
want-
for the chip and
They want an
seal.
agreement in place saying that at some point, the road will be chip sealed, which would allow them to assume, what is the term for temporary, like the, because the annexation won't happen for a period of time,
Have an MOU or something
that allows them to take over control of the land use.
while it's in the process of being annexed.
We've done that 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
We've done one in Oak City, I think we did one in Fillmore. We've got a precedent for that.
And in order for that to happen, and I'm lost on some of the terms here, so that's why it's probably kind of confusing. But in order for the city to assume that role, they wanted me to have an agreement figured out for the water pipe, which they'll put the pipe in the ground, and they wanted to have an agreement in place for 2500 East.
Could that be covered in the road agreement?
Well, the water, I mean, water wouldn't be a part of our agreement, but our road maintenance agreement, yeah, we have one. I'm thinking Romeo's road maintenance agreement, we also have a road maintenance agreement down with the pig farms and the border down there. We've got a few of those. I mean, and even that wouldn't necessarily involve Delta as a party to the agreement. It would basically just be, I mean, I guess unless Delta were willing to contribute something to the cost of the material.
I doubt it
But-
initially.
But it sounds like right now, just to keep things on track and just to preserve the pace of things, all he's asking for, and this doesn't even require commission approval, just whoever's the commissioner of that assignment can tell Brandon to go mag the road, and then we can continue to work out the terms of an agreement. Of a road
Yeah,
maintenance agreement going forward.
What's the cost regardless of who's paying for it? What is the cost? Will the county do it and bill me for it when it gets done type of a thing? Or if in the interim we can come up with grant money to cover that cost, we apply that money when you guys approve it. Either way, we would still carry the debt, so to speak, once it's
So is that
completed.
not a road that he's magged before? That would surprise me if that's not a mag road.
Brandon acted like it hadn't been
I don't
mapped.
think
It
so.
hasn't been.
No.
It's never been mag. They're just, we've talked about it, it's an issue that's come forth before this.
Well, we mag a lot of roads with a lot less.
Yeah, as close as that is to Delta, I'm surprised it
And
hasn't.
always come up anyway, the answer is, well, there's just not enough people going down there, I don't know. But this is a different thing, but it's been talked about before, but the issue wasn't big enough that it ever become elevated on the priority list.
So, when this was being rezoned, the primary concern from the surrounding property owners was dust mitigation. So the mag chloride does bond everything and get it ready for chip, but it also helps address the the dust that has been the primary concern of the neighbors.
So we just need to look at it really closely. There's some legal provisions we need to look at involving the county providing assistance to private enterprise and those types of things. But so obviously, we're not in a position to do anything today. But I don't think there's an issue with the county magging that road.
No, that's not the issue.
So if we waited and got all the other stuff that need to be magged and saved that road for last, would it be worth just keep on going south and go as far as
I'll
we
get
can
with
until
Brandon
we
and see
run
what
out?
other, we've already made a few other commitments on county roads. It's gonna stay county roads. That he needed to go back over and see how much material we got. What we aren't in a position is rebid mag and have a bunch of mag delivered to us. So
Yeah.
we got so much, and we can elevate this to a priority.
I just know that usually when you order that stuff, you make sure you order plenty inside.
What we have is what's left in the bladders. We order in the spring, we order in February or March, and get enough. Of course, we can't hold it all, but they bring it, and they got some left over that we can use. But we wouldn't, and there's plenty there to do, at least satisfy this. We got other commitments we've made with
Yeah,
some other things.
But I was just saying
We're
after.
probably not gonna go back in and order at this point.
No, but I was just saying, once we get the ones magged that we need to have done, if there's any left over, we may as well just keep going down that road.
We could, we can put it somewhere depending on his time and everything, okay? All right, this gives us a heads up of what we need to do and do our due diligence, and then we'll see if we can proceed and see what kind of agreements we can work
Okay.
out, okay?
All right,
Okay,
thank you.
Shane.
Thank you for your time.
Shane, can you give me your phone number?
Yes. It's 435-406-5117.
What's the last four?
5117.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, other commissioners.
Oh, public input. I don't have no public here. All we got's elected officials and employees, huh? So no public input. Let's go to other business.
Hey, Bill,
Yes,
for other business, so.
come on up to the mic.
If you can introduce your name so we have for the audio record.
Okay, so I'm Laura Fitch, I'm the interim assessor. So I was just wanted to talk to you guys about putting together a work meeting. The Utah State Tax Commission, their property division, does a presentation for us every year on centrally assessed, and they're wondering if we have any questions. Is there anything in particular?
Answer to that,
discuss?
yes.
Okay, and then, so do you want it to be a virtual or an in-person meeting?
In person.
In
Do
person.
I get to answer that?
Okay, and then they just, if you guys have any questions or anything that you want included in the meeting or you want covered more broadly, they have an email address, or I can contact them for you and just let them know where we have more questions.
Do you want to set that up, and will it be down here then? Okay.
Okay.
Just get a date and clear with us or Marky that we don't have a lot of
Should we
conflict.
do it after commission meeting sometime?
Isn't it normally done after commission meetings?
We could, it's,
Yeah, let's
whatever
do-
you,
let's- yeah, let's
whatever's
do that.
gonna, you guys have already left, it's probably easier for you after commission meeting, so.
Yeah.
How soon do you want to get it done?
I'll talk to them and see, I just wanted to know whether you wanted it virtual, in person, or.
I don't care either way, but he wants it in person.
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
So can I pick up your next commission meeting is until September 12th? That's almost a long way.
September 12th? You want to, well, you can shoot for one of those
Is that
meetings.
soon enough, September 12th?
That's up to you guys. Is that soon enough?
Soon enough for me.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to get no sooner if we,
Okay. All right.
is the next meeting, is this our second meeting?
This is our second meeting.
So we go clear to the 12th, so we got 3 weeks. Why don't you try that?
If they can't do the 12th, do it sometime earlier, anytime.
What works best, I'm going to speak for other commissioners, is afternoon meetings.
Okay.
Like, you could probably do it a lot of days, what do they need, 2 hours, an hour and a half?
About there, yeah.
We could probably do a lot of days around 3 o'clock. Does that work? I mean, I
Yeah.
think that works for you guys, if you want to do, if you want to do one of these Tuesdays, but just check back with us, so we have other stuff in the near future, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You don't want to do Thursday. Travis got ball games, so Tuesday, Wednesday
Tuesdays and
at
Wednesdays.
3 o'clock, I
And I
think.
can make Thursdays work if that.
Okay.
I think a Tuesday, Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Before that, if they want to do it, let's just get it over with. Because sometimes it's hard to give a time after commission meeting. You know, we have our elected officials meetings, and of course, like, if we don't really have anything, we can cancel them, but it's hard to give a time and get done and stuff like that. So go ahead and look at that, and maybe get back with me, and
All right, thank
we'll
you.
communicate that. So, Marquis, you had some other business.
Yes, so I received an application for appeal of Millard County Planning Commission.
Can't hear you. Talk louder.
I received an application for appeal of Millard County Planning Commission's decision on C1 conditional use permit application number Z-2023-039 for a commercial kennel. I've sent it to Attorney Finlinson, so I'm going to defer to him what he wants.
So we need a little bit of guidance from Adam on this, but I believe, and Adam can kind of talk a little bit maybe about procedure, but I think that what the commission needs to decide today is, are you going to hear the appeal yourselves, or are we going to appoint an appeal authority? Most of the time in the past, I believe the commission has heard the appeal, but there have been 1 or 2 occasions where we've appointed appeal authorities where we felt like it was technical enough that it was sort of beyond the capacity of delay commission.
Go ahead, Adam. You got another comment to add to that?
I don't know if I have much more to add to that. The Planning Commission issues C1 conditional use permits, so that if they are appealed, it does go before the Board of County Commission as a default. The question is just if the commission wants to proceed in hearing that appeal and making the decision, or if they want to have somebody else appointed to handle that. But it's,
Doesn't seem to me that this one would be one that would be overwhelmingly technical.
I don't believe it is.
It would be a fairly straightforward appeal.
More emotional than technical is,
Probably. I don't know a lot about it, but it sounds like it's one probably that the commission could.
I would think that the commission would be able to handle it just fine, but
Well, basically, the plaintiff would kind of like it moved to the furthest part of the people that are going to build the furthest part of their land that's furthest away from her, and
Well-
then have a different building than what they're,
without going into too much detail,
yeah, we need to decide whether we'll take the appeal. Is that what we need to do? Whether we'll take the appeal or give it to somebody else, okay? Do we need a motion, Pat?
No, I think we just need a little bit of direction as to all of what you wanted to do. So I think what happens now is Markey, or someone from her office would contact the appellant, the person who filed the appeal, and just let them know that they've been placed on the commission agenda to come and present their appeal. Certainly our planning department would have an opportunity to respond, as would the other property owner, the individuals that, and if they want to submit something in writing beforehand, that could probably be part of the notice as well, that they would be able to submit a written brief. I think at least one of the parties is represented.
So Trevor, you good for us to
Yeah.
take the appeal?
Yeah, I'm good with this. Take it.
Adam, you got any further comments?
oftentimes those are separately held meetings, they can be quite lengthy. I don't
Yeah,
know
we
if we include it in
would
this meeting.
probably not do that in commission meeting, would we? Do it after sometime, we wouldn't, that wouldn't be
Or
part
just
of
another day.
commission meeting or another day, okay?
Yeah, just have to, it's public meeting, that's it.
yeah, let's make sure we get it advertised.
So that requires recording the commission meeting, it requires minor Kato's presence, please go after the commission campus or the election campus.
Okay,
There's a statutory requirement for how that moves along. We can't hold it for very long. I think, is it, I'll have to review it. I think it's 30 days we have to, I'll look that up, but there is a time.
All right, you work with Marky and Pat and tell us, get some dates or tell us what we need to do.
Usually, I guess in my opinion, just go to whatever day works best for you guys, and I can make it work. I don't know about
But you'd
for-
like it after the 5th of September.
Most definitely after the 5th. But I know I received it the 14th, so if it's a 30-day approach, what I think it is, then we have to do it for the 5th. But it's definitely after the 5th.
We'll look at the dates.
Okay, just keep us informed, okay? What, give us a little bit of notice where we're at and everything, so, thank you. Any more other business? Anybody? Discussion of possible appointments of various county boards?
So can I clarify on the appointment of the
Yes.
At the last meeting?
Ricky.
That was to fill as I had said at the last time, we'll have to advertise for these positions. I got in contact with him, he said, this is the person that will be replacing.
Is that just a clarification then? Okay. All right, any questions? Okay. Pos-
Okay, my intention said this is what I wanted to say, but I didn't want to be.
Any delinquent property tax? Discussion by commissioner, attorney, elected officials, and secretary. Any discussion on any other items?
I can just report, I had a citizen call me. Just FYI, the municipal election was originally scheduled for the 15th of August. However, due to the special election, to Congressman Stewart's vacancy, that has pushed the municipal primary election back to September 5th. I just want to make that clear.
September 5th?
And then the general election has been pushed back from November 7th to,
I guess I should, do you send ballots out for all the municipals, or do they have to do so? So if you live in the county, you won't get a ballot?
well, if you're a Republican, because it's a close primary, so. if you're
Because the
Republican,
primary ones will go out with them,
Our county serves.
but the cities also have their local,
We
but,
have two, and I'll explain this.
so when do you send them out?
So we couldn't send it out before today. So-
Okay, because I was wondering, because
And we contract with the printer, and so they anticipate that they're going to get our mailbox tomorrow or Thursday.
so everybody that's Republican should get a ballot for our,
Everybody that's Republican.
and then in the cities, everybody will get a ballot for,
Only 2 towns have a primary.
only 2 towns have a primary, okay.
You live within the boundaries of Hinkley or
Okay.
Kanash, and it doesn't matter your affiliate. If you're Republican, you'll get your Republican ballot plus the town ballot.
Okay.
If you're not, then you'll still.
I'm just glad you're not confused.
That's this stuff, I understand.
Thank you very much. Any more questions on that? Okay. Thanks, Marky, we appreciate you. Let's see, BOE,
We will have a list for you next time we meet.
next time?
Are there going to be a lot?
Yes. Most of them, you've already given us permission for obvious errors. Most of them right now are just,
Speak up, Bonnie, I
most
can't.
of them right now are conversion errors, but we just barely got that worked out, and we're going to set out the notices today.
Well, that's nice if it's just conversion errors.
Well, there's a few more, but they're not ready to be heard, so.
Okay, next item, review of county policies or contracts, Marky.
So, like I was saying, we have, the county has contracted with all the municipalities for an election. So far, for the primary election, we only have 2 towns, Hinkley and Kanash. And then for the general election, we have Hinkley, Kanash, Delta, Holden, and Leamington. We could have more if there are write-in candidates who file in those municipalities that I didn't mention. But I sent out an interlocal agreement to those 5 municipalities, and I received one of them back from Leamington, so that just needs to be approved. And this is for, just the chair needs to sign it.
We
but
need
this
a
is
motion
just
to
so that
approve
we-
the interlocal agreement with municipal elections in Leamington.
Yes. And this is for my office to
Okay.
conduct their election.
Need a motion to do that, discussion, and,
Let me see, if I can say it
You
correctly.
just approve that.
yeah, go ahead.
I make a motion, am I approving? Just
Are they
Interlocal.
approving it or accepting it? I don't know.
interlocal
It's the
agreement?
Leamington interlocal agreement for the contract for elections.
Accepting?
You're approving the contracts. I mean, Markey, it's really between our office, but yeah, you're just approving them.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the interlocal agreement with Leamington.
I second that motion.
Been approved and second to approve the elections interlocal agreement with Leamington. Any further discussion to that? Seeing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Thank you. Next on our agenda is meeting of the Board of Directors of Redevelopment Agency concerning our CDA. At our last meeting, if we proceed, we have some decisions to make on administrative fees and other things. However, we'd requested that we receive a resolution from the county school board so we know exactly what they want to proceed. I think they have not done that yet. I think they had on their agenda and took it off their agenda, so we won't need to make any decisions on that. I talked to Denton yesterday. So we're just sitting on that, wait and see and make sure before we go forward and spend a lot of time and work that we're what everybody wants to do.
An agenda item for the near future then?
Yeah, put it on. And we'll wait for the school board to report back with a resolution. I guess there's no sense us setting fees and contracts till we make sure what the level they're going to participate and what's going to do. So we'll just go on to that. Possible closed meeting. Pat, I hadn't chatted with you. You all right for a closed meeting today?
Yeah,
Okay,
I don't know what it is, but
all right.
as long as you know, that's good.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion that we have a closed meeting.
You just got to say on the record, in the motion, what the closed meeting is for.
For litigation. Okay.
I make a motion that we go into closed meeting for possible litigation.
Second?
A motion second, we go into a closed meeting for possible litigation. Discussion of that motion, seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, thank you.
And who is staying for that?
The elected officials, and Adam's been in there, so, thank you.
For clarification for both online, the meeting, and after this closed session, so we can end that online. So for clarification for the online people, this meeting will conclude after the
Yeah,
closed
okay.
session.
The commission meeting, we'll go into closed meeting. At the end of closed meeting, we'll come back and enter commission meeting. If we need to make any motions to move forward, they'll be made at that time. Otherwise, then we'll close